police officer in St. Paul has been placed on leave after authorities were alerted that he was advising people to run people from Black Lives Matter over with their cars. Oh boy. So let's go into it, huh? Now, according to the Pioneer Press, Sergeant Jeffrey M. Rothecker is being investigated for a Facebook post he made about an article on a Black Lives Matter protest that involved stopping traffic on Monday. Now, this was, of course, the Bay Street Bridge, where they shut down on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So, the comment was brought to the attention of authorities by local cop watcher Andrew Henderson, who basically reported this comment that advises. Now, this is from Rothecker. He says, "Run them over, keep traffic flowing, and don't slow down for any of these idiots who try and block the street. Here's the deal: you continue to drive, and if you hit someone, make sure you call 911 to report the accident and meet the cops a block or two away." So here's a cop advising people to do a hit and run. A hit and run. Wow. So let's just run over people that are doing the most American thing in the world, which is protesting, of course. And then run away, call the cops, and then meet them later, a block or two away. That's crazy. And on the issue of protesting, it's the whole idea that they were protesting, that this police officer was apparently mad at it. Why? Protesting, as I said, is the most American thing in the world. I mean, what do you think the Boston Tea Party was? It was a protest. Well, it was also an act of vandalism, which didn't happen at the Bay Bridge. No one said that we should run them over. I'm just saying. But hey, apparently peacefully protesting for economic and social justice warrants someone running you over. At least in this guy's mind. As if we didn't see those kinds of, violence, calls of violence before. Actually, we have. But they didn't run people over with cars. They just used dogs and fire hoses instead. Now, in case you're wondering, how dare you inject race into this? Well, see, it wasn't me that injected the race into this. See, Rothecker advises justifying driving to responding officers by telling them that, quote, "you feared for your safety, since in the past, people in this group have shown a propensity towards violence." Think about that for a second. People in this group, it's okay to hit them and then run away because you were afraid of them, because people in this group have a propensity towards violence, historically. Anybody hear that dog whistle? In case anybody couldn't hear that dog whistle, let me explain. Here's an officer telling people to run over mainly black protesters and justifying it because they are the violent ones historically. So the cops would believe that since black people are violent, that they would believe that you would do this because you were scared and running from your life. There's your dog whistle. Now, to illustrate the problem with the justice system, Rothecker continues. According to this cop, quote, "these idiots could try to sue you and sue in civil court. But remember that it will be a jury trial. So most likely it will come out in your favor." So, recap. Go ahead and hit protesters, run them down for peacefully protesting in the street. Call 911 after you're safely a few blocks away, after doing what's essentially a hit and run, which is illegal. But tell the cop that, well, it's okay. I did it only because I was scared because black people are violent. And then saying, well, don't worry. They might try to sue you for that. However, don't worry. We got your back. The justice system, the courts, they have your back. We're going to make sure the jury is all white people who don't like Black Lives Matter, so that they'll never rule against you. Do you see the what's going on here, right? You see what's going on here. There's the cop saying, don't worry, the justice system does not serve those people, they serve us. They're black and they're fighting for civil rights, but who cares about that? Well, apparently some people do, and thankfully so. You see the guy who from Cop Watch, right? Or the guy who was a local cop watcher, Andrew Henderson, he cared. He cared enough to bring this to the attention of the police. And thankfully so. You see, he did this because police are supposed to serve everyone. Justice is supposed to be blind towards race. However, more often than not, we've seen examples where that is definitely not the case. Baltimore, Ferguson, hell, you could even lump Flint in there, right? Situations that have happened in these cities, and lots of any cities all over the United States, show a blatant disregard towards people in communities of color, and how those in power and authority in those places abuse those that they're supposed to protect and serve. Now, in the case of St. Paul, I'm glad they're at least doing something. Yesterday, St. Paul Mayor Chris Coleman issued a statement saying that he is outraged and disgusted by the post, and that he has directed the SPPD to investigate. Now, I would be more comfortable if it were an independent investigator going in and investigating the police. Normally, if you had the police investigate their own, well, who are they going to side with? There's this thin blue line, and they tend to protect their own. That's why I prefer independent investigators and independent prosecutors. So I don't know how much this will really help in the situation, but we'll see. Now, to those that might be angry that this was caused over a Facebook post, look, I have to remind you that the reason this matters is because he is a policeman. He should be held to a higher standard. Old policemen, they have a difficult job. Absolutely. And they do deserve respect. However, with that respect, they deserve to be held to a higher standard than the average citizen, with the rights and the privileges and the responsibilities that we give policemen. Our people in uniform, they have to be held to a higher standard and to be held accountable when they do things like this. He used his position of authority to urge people to run over protesters. And it wasn't a joke. It wasn't a light thing. It wasn't a laughing matter. See, this is why this guy has no business being a police officer. Officer of the peace? I think not. At the end of the day, they need to fire his ass. Because there is absolutely no excuse for doing this kind of thing.